Hey guys, it's Josh. I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted in this video. I'm sitting outside of Physicians Regional Hospital here in Naples, Florida. My wife just within 20 minutes ago went in for surgery. Today's Monday. My video day is Tuesday, but I know I'm really not going to have time to make a Tuesday, and I don't want to miss my day because that really puts the channel in a bad spot. So I have a 2-hour wait until she's out of surgery, so I am making it now so I can post it tomorrow. This video is supposed to be on favorite Christmas memories, traditions, things along that line. I grew up in an Italian household. My last name right now is Ortiz. It's my father's last name. I'm actually changing it to my mother's birth last name, which is Annunziata, so I'll be changing that legally this year, after the 1st. So I grew up in a very Sicilian household. My grandmother was as Sicilian as they come. My whole family is as Sicilian as they come. Some of my favorite memories, in the Italian culture, in the Italian culture, Christmas Eve is the bigger of the 2 days. Christmas Eve is when you have the big, we always have a feast and everything, but when I was a kid, it was, a traditional Italian meal is Feast of 7 Fishes, right? Seafood or Italian food. When I was young, we did a lot of seafood. Now that we're older, we usually do 1 or 2 seafood dishes, and the rest is Italian food. But my favorite memories were when the whole family got together, when everyone was still around. The majority of my family has passed away. So my mother was adopted when my grandmother was 40. So my family was much older than normal people's would be. So I remember the house being full of short, chubby Italians, and the smell in the air was indescribable. My grandma would start cooking. There's a fly in my car. My grandma would start cooking, I swear to God, a week or 2 in advance. But Christmas Eve is when we opened up all of our presents. We had to wait until Christmas at midnight. Christmas Eve at midnight, which it never lasted that long. We usually bitched and moaned until we got to open up some early. One year I remember my whole family was over, and my grandma had this front room. Before my grandfather passed away, that was his bedroom. He had his hospital bed and everything in there. And it was after he had passed on. But that whole front room was full. I have a home video of it at home. Full, floor-to-ceiling presents for the whole family. And I remember walking in there and being Florida is as taller than I was for our family and my stepfather's family and everyone that came over. And they were big, huge boxes. We got my grandmother a stereo player that had a record player on top, so she could play her opera records. And I remember her opening it, and in her typical New York Italian, "Oh my God," and all she kept saying is, "Oh my God." And she was so excited she got to play her opera records because she had a shit ton of opera records. Another thing I really enjoyed doing with my grandmother was cooking. Those of you who know me, I don't know if people do, but culinary things are my passion. I'll be going to culinary school in the next year. My wife and I are starting a catering company. So culinary anything is my passion. Hence why I got so fat. But we would make these little Italian cookies, and they're called strufelas. They're little tiny, dough balls that you fry and coat in honey and sprinkles. And my grandmother had one arm shorter than the other, and how even now, she's been gone, rest her soul, going to be 9 years in March. Yeah, 9 years. But she never let her arm, rule her. It wasn't, hanging off her shoulder short. It was maybe a few inches shorter. She didn't have full range of motion in it. But even now, it takes, our whole family now to make these little friggin' strufelas because they're, the hardest things ever. And she made it, one-armed, the whole thing, no problem. She would, stand on chairs and hang curtains with one arm. I don't know how she did it, but whatever, she was badass. But I remember the smell in the air. I remember cooking with her, being in the kitchen and just staring in awe at what she created, culinary-wise. And that's where my passion for cooking started, was from her. Um, I'm a little emotional today, I'm sorry. Um, she is the reason why I am who I am today. Um, I mean, not the asshole part, but all the good things about me are from her. Um, but I remember making these Italian cookies. Hang on, there's this lady over here looking at me. Oh, she's a German, whatever. But I remember making these Italian cookies, and they were the best things I've ever had. Making them with her and cooking with her, watching her wrap presents one-handed. I don't know how she did any of that. I remember, we still have it. It's a stuffed angel, tiny. I don't know, maybe a foot long. She got it as a wedding present, I want to say. And every year she would say the same thing. She would say, "It's not Christmas till the angels hung up." And she would hang this angel over her tree. And my mom still has it. And it's gray and yellowed and tattered and torn, because it's like 100 years old. I mean, it's seriously, probably like 60 years old. But she'd hang this angel on her tree. I mean, right above it, on the ceiling, hanging above it. Sorry. And every year, it was always, "It's not Christmas until the angels hung." I remember laying on her plastic couch, because all Italians from Brooklyn have plastic-coated everything. Plastic-coated couches, plastic-coated chairs, lampshades, plastic runners on the carpet. Everything is plastic. Laying on the plastic couch in my Christmas pajamas, falling asleep to the sound of her humming Italian songs, while everyone was playing cards, and they would curse in Italian. And you would be quiet, and they would hum, they would sing, they'd say "fangul" every time they wouldn't get a good hand, which in Italian is fuck. That's a nice way to say it. And it wasn't even about a gift. It was just being there with my grams on her plastic couch and my whole family. Being in their presence made me feel welcomed and at peace. And I know, excuse me, all of them, but one. I've got one relative that was there that's still alive. She's in her 90s. But this lady's getting really close to my car and really pissing me off. Right there, do you see? She's on my nerves. But sitting, laying on the couch, listening to them hum. And I know on days like today, they're all here with me. I'm here at the hospital by myself, but I know. I could feel them, and I know that they're here. But those are my favorite Christmas memories. Being in my grandmother's house, everybody loud, a little bit of sauce in them. Cursing in Italian. It was very Godfather-ish. I mean, it was the best times of my life I spent with her. And that's that. So that is my video on Christmas memories. I hope this finds everyone well, and I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. Namaste.